Good evening. This is the meeting of the Laverne Board of Zoning Appeals, November 29, 2016. The regular meeting, 5:30. The first item on the agenda is calling the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting that we had? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Minutes are approved as presented. The second item is new business. We have an accessory structure variance requested by Don Kirk. Property is located at 136 Blue Valley Road. It's a 1-acre R1 low-density residential zoning district, and the parcel's owned by Don Kirk. May we have your report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. The applicant, Don Kirk, lives at 136 Blue Valley Drive, road. It's the A.F. Murray subdivision, and you can see the house with the blacktop driveway. She moved in 2010, and the house and the driveway were in the current location. She has requested to install a 24 by 21 black metal carport directly over the area between the house and the driveway, basically the landing, and then the where the driveway goes into the backyard. It's literally just going to cover the existing this corner, and then these as well. So her accessory structure, however, is you have to be 10 feet from all property lines, and she will be from this corner, but this corner, as you can see, is oh, sure, sorry. This one, as you can see where the car is, there's only about 3.5 feet from where the corner of the carport will be from the rear property line. As you can see, it's a it's a triangular parcel. The house is it takes a good majority. So because she's got some major chronic foot issues that prevent her from being able to walk well and walk for very far, and because of the fact that the landing and the driveway are not covered currently, she's had some major issues in the winter, and in wet weather she's actually slipped and fell. So she needs this carport to just sit right over the existing area so that she can safely move from the house to the car when she needs to. The carport is proposed to be black to match her shutters on the house. This is the recorded plat, and there are no easements in this location where the encroachment would be. You can see here, I've blocked out an area. You can see where the corner, there's literally about 3.5 feet there. So the parcel immediately northeast is vacant. It's a drainage area. Because she's covering existing area that's already impervious, she's not increasing the impervious surface area. There'll be no changes to the existing drainage patterns. There's also there's some large trees and a vegetative buffer that sits between her and the northernmost neighbor. So you probably won't be able to see the carport from that property up there. This is the one she's going for. It's got the slightly curved side. It will be black, however, to match the house, as I mentioned. You can see the shutters are black, and so naturally it's going to just cover this area from her existing little deck. And that's just an aerial view. You can see where this is the vacant drainage area. You can see how close that corner of that asphalt is to the property line. There's been a sign on the property for several weeks, and I have not actually received a single phone call about the request. And Ms. Kirk is here, should you have any questions.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kirk? Yes. Ms. Kirk, would you take the podium, please? Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes, sir.
God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Dawn Renee Kirk, 136 Blue Valley Road, Laverne, Tennessee.
Do you have anything to add or state regarding the
Yes.
report?
Mostly the reason for that awning was my handicap access ramp is right there on the side of my home. And when I come out of my back, I've fell down my front porch many times because it's steps. I have a fractured heel bone. But I want to be able to come out my back door and go down my handicap access and get into my awning underneath the awning where my truck will be parked. The old car was my son's, before he passed away, and I'm saving it for my grandkid. So,
Okay. The handicap ramp is going to be covered also by that?
no,
It's not going to be
it will
covered?
not be, because I don't want it that close to the house. I want it to be able to take it when I move, if I go to move,
Okay,
if I get custody of my grandkid
thank you.
in years.
Board members have any questions? There being no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. We'll take a vote on it. Those in favor of granting the petition, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Congratulations, it's approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Pollak, I just want to be sure you did give the second.
Yes.
correct?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The second order of business, the second new business is a sign package variance requested by Capital Development Partners on behalf of Bojangles Restaurant. Property located on parcel 2 of the Walmart Commercial Subdivision, C2 Highway Service Commercial Zoning District. Parcel is owned by Walmart Real Estate Investment Trust. May we have the report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for, it's actually just for an extra wall sign. We do have all of their proposed signs in your packet, because it is the overlay district and signage has to be approved per the regulations. The Bojangles site plan, as you can see on your screen and in your packet, was actually approved in late summer of 2016 by the Planning Commission. And as they've been moving through the process, getting their building permit, they realized that they had one extra wall sign planned than the sign ordinance allows for. Section 4.070 of the sign ordinance allows commercial and industrial structures 1 wall sign and 1 pole sign, and the wall signs are allowed to be up to 100 square feet. Now, sites that have multiple road frontages, or feel a need for extra signage based on their location can make application for an extra sign, which they have done. As you can see, this is the main entrance to the Walmart Commercial Center. So the Bojangles is on a very small parcel situated and angled kind of towards the direction of Smyrna. So they propose to have their 1 pole sign, which is 30 feet, and I will show you another image of it in a moment. The 2 wall signs that they would like are just, they're simply their name with the little star logo, and they are they're under the allowable, the maximum allowable square footage of 100. They do have 2 small directional signs that are planned for the interior of the site. Those are they meet the regulations of the sign ordinance, but as you can see, this is the extra sign that is in question. And these are the renderings that were provided to us. As you can see, they have a rather aesthetically pleasing facade, and with the limited color and the signage that they're proposing for, they just feel that they need that extra sign so that traffic moving in this direction as they come towards the main entrance to make the left at the Walmart, if they're coming towards Smyrna, they have to be able to, they don't have a lot of lead time as they're coming down Murfreesboro Road, since it's fairly heavy traffic. People are moving pretty quickly, so they need to be able to know they're coming up on Bojangles, and so that they can get into the left-hand turn lane to be able to turn into the commercial complex. And as you can see, I mean, from a distance looking southeast, the pole sign, you can see it, but it's not terribly, it's not, it's only 30 feet tall, and from with the distance and the grade, they don't believe it's enough as you're approaching to let people know that they are there. So they're asking for 1 extra sign. There's been There's been a sign on this property probably for a month at least, and there's not been a single phone call. And honestly, for corporate signage package, what they're proposing is pretty minor. So we do have a representative from Capital Development Partners, Mr. Mark James, who's representing the Bojangles project, and he is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Would the representative step up to the podium, please? Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm Mark James, 3101 Divine Street, Columbia, South Carolina.
Thank you. You heard the report. Is there anything you want to add or amend?
I don't know that I could say it any better than Kristen did, so
Okay.
unless I'm here, happy to answer any questions, but I think she
Covered it pretty good?
covered it pretty well, yeah.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions?
I just have a couple, Mr. Chairman. So the Bojangles name will be the same on both sides of the building?
Yes, correct. The front and then on the side, on the north-facing side.
Okay, but they'll be the same size as far as on the building?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And the colouring will be the same as on both of them?
Correct, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the petition. We'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Congratulations. Approved.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the schedule this evening is the building setback and front rear yard variance requested by the Rogers Group on behalf of Brand Tire Shop. Property is located at 1501 Piercy Street. It is 1 acre, I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District, parcel owned by Jose Brand. May we have the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property at 1501 Piercy Street was rezoned from R2 residential to I1 light industrial. I believe it was last year, due to the changing nature of the area and the increasing industrial nature of the land uses. And Mr. Brand has purchased this property with the hopes of relocating his existing tire shop from Antioch to this specific parcel. The parcel itself is actually just 1/3 of an acre. It also has its double frontage, with the front being Dick Buchanan, and then you also have frontage along Piercy Street. And with the proposed layout of his site plan, which you have a large copy of, they had a really difficult time being able to lay out the building, which they've proposed to be pretty small at 55 by 30, and with the amount of required parking that they need to have, plus handicap access, plus the landscaping and the bioretention area, which will be along Piercy Street. They had a difficult time putting the building on the property and not encroaching by a few feet into a couple of the yards. So you can see that, of course, the building will face Dick Buchanan. The front yard should be at 20 foot. It should be 20 feet. There is a small area of encroachment here. It's going to be asphalt as well as here. So those are the small areas that we've got of encroachment of the front yard. Same goes with the rear yard. The rear yard is supposed to be 15. There's a very small encroachment between 2 and 3 feet along that property line here. So those are the two yard setbacks, or yard encroachments. And then we also have a very small front building setback encroachment right there, and that is between 1 and 5 feet. You can see at the southern portion, it's 1 feet, and at the northern it encroaches by about 5 feet. The side yards and building setbacks are all met just fine. And then the rear portion of the building encroaches about 7 feet into the rear setback, but the rear yard. However, we will have an 8-foot shadow fence that was requested by the planning commission. It was initially planned to be 6 feet. They have now made it 8 feet as requested. So you shouldn't be able to see anything from the residential yard to the east. So the encroachment into, the rear yard is pretty minimal. And then you can see, in order to be able to enter the lot, be able to circulate through, and again, to provide for the handicap, all the required parking, the bioretention area, and then we've got, the required landscaping. They needed those couple of small variances in order to be able to make this site a feasible site for a light industrial operation. Both the signs been on the property for several weeks. I've not received a single phone call of inquiry from anyone. And we do have several representatives from both Rogers Group and Jose Brand and his interpreter are here if you have any questions.
Thank you. I noticed that on the agenda, the front of the building is on Piercy Street, but we're talking as if the front of the building is on the main street there. Is that right?
The driveway entrance is on Dick Buchanan, so, I mean, you can, with it being a corner lot, I mean, they had it oriented, so, the front was technically gonna be Dick Buchanan, which makes the rear the opposite side. And then, it's confusing because it's a corner lot, but technically the side yard is what abuts Jeff Johnson's property up here. So, and they've had to play around with this layout actually a few times because of the corner lot situation and the various there being front yards on both Piercy and Dick Buchanan. I believe, those are the elevations that were requested at the planning commission. They were not required to be submitted, but because it does abut a residential property, we did ask them to provide us with elevations so that we could see what the building would look like.
And the planning commission is happy with everything except for the variances, right? Is that right?
The planning commission had several comments. They've all been taken care of. In fact, actually, I should have pointed out that they also added a 6-foot sidewalk here, as was discussed at the workshop, because it is in location it is in a residential, it abuts residential. So they did add the sidewalk there, and they did increase the height of the shadow fence from 6 to 8. That was also the other.
Kristen, what exactly is a shadow fence?
I actually have a detail of it, I think, a little bit later. It's an attractive fence that you can't see, you can't see through.
Not like what we see on Murfreesboro Road?
No,
Okay.
no. The whole purpose is to prevent anyone from seeing what's on the other side.
What are the landscape requirements, the buffers that you've got there? I heard that they were 50 feet. That's not true, though, I found out. What are the landscape?
Buffer, it depends on what the land use categories are. Now, we are going from light industrial to R2. So technically, the buffer it is supposed to be a 50-foot wide buffer if you can, I suppose, install it. The planning commission has the authority to waive or amend the requirement based on existing conditions, or if they were to put up a fence, or if there's heavy vegetation. There's a variety of options that they can take into consideration when they amend a transitional buffer. So
what did they finally decide for the landscape buffer to be? How wide?
Actually, the main portion of the buffer itself is actually the shadow fence. They put in the shrubs you have to have a parking screen to go around all of the parking areas. So that's what they've provided, the parking screen and some additional landscaping.
Is
But
it like one row of shrubs?
yeah, it is just one row, but you won't be able to see. You won't be able to see any of this from over here, from the residential property.
And the residents next to it are okay with this?
They were aware, you know, they came in actually back when the rezoning went through, and they were supportive of that rezoning. I haven't received any phone calls about the sign that was posted on the property, so, you know, we can probably ask the representatives if they've talked to the neighbors, but, I am not aware of any complaints on that.
To answer your question, Debbie, the 15 feet was the number the planning commission asked for.
It's what,
15 feet.
for the shrubs?
50 feet for the buffer zone.
Okay, so they,
With the 8-foot high fence, 15 feet, and obviously they've come back in at 12 foot and change, so hence they wanting the 3 feet difference. But the planning commission requested 15 feet, 8-foot high fence, that's what was agreed to. And they're coming back in for a variance,
is that pretty common?
but we were trying to be consistent. So, yes.
So is that across the board all over Laverne?
Well, not all of them, it depends on each location is different. This is unique because the building's not been built yet.
Mhm.
That's why we have, this building's not been built, so that's why they haven't built it yet. They want to get all the ducks in a row first.
Sure.
So normally we see a building that's already gone up and already positioned, we're working it. This one's not been built, so, you know, this board can decide where it wants to put the building effectively, and move forward from there.
I was just concerned because, you know, I just sold a house on Zellwood and right behind it was industrial, and there was no buffer zone at all, other than my client's privacy fence, which was falling down because of their digging. So I was kind of concerned about that.
Sure. But I think what the planning commission discussed was 15 feet, and obviously here they're at 12 foot 7'4", so they are encroaching on what the planning commission originally decided. And I would like to see it 15 feet with 8-foot high fence, that's what I'll be looking for.
If I may point out, the width of the lot is only 71 feet, so if they had a 50-foot buffer, you wouldn't be able to use the property at all, so.
Any other questions by board members?
Just curious what the building is going to be built out of.
We can have a representative take the podium, please.
I apologize. It's really difficult to read the materials on that, and it wasn't part of the variance package, so
Okay.
I don't have it in large format.
Sir, are you going to be the main speaker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand?
Sure.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Will you state your name and address for the record, please?
Andy Leath, Leath, 114B, West Main Street, Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm with Rogers Group and represent the owner, Mr. Brand.
Okay.
And this is his interpreter,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ramirez.
You heard the report. Anything you want to add to the report? Anything?
No, sir. I think Ms. Kristen did it quite well. I will say that part of the reason for such a large encroachment from the front, which is Dick Buchanan, we are dedicating 5 foot of additional right-of-way. So without that, the original plan, we had no front setback encroachment and very little yard encroachment from the asphalt. But because we're dedicating 5 foot of right-of-way, that's the reason for the larger encroachments on the front. The rear, if we need to, the shadow fence is basically a wood fence, but it's not solid wood across the front. You got a plank on the front and a plank on the back.
Oh, okay.
Unless the wind go through it, so it's not gonna be leaning over. So you're not gonna have the eyesore there down the road.
And there was a question, the materials.
Just got that drawn, but I give it back to me. The materials are gonna be a block and metal roof, single sloped, and there's I'm sorry. Metal wall panels for the gables, concrete masonry units that will be painted, and a metal roofing. We have something right here I can pass you around that they're gonna shoot for.
Come back to the question on the setback. You were going to say something about the setback, and then you.
I was just listening to, you discussing the rear setback. It is supposed to be a 15-foot yard. We're requesting somewhat of a 12-foot yard. We don't mind adding additional landscaping if that would help this body feel more comfortable with it.
Well, I suppose my comment on that is if we went to the 15, does it make the building too small? I understand the front setback, if that's the way it's laid out. I understand that because of the location of the property, but I would still like to adhere to the 15 feet at the back if you can work with us on that.
So you're talking about 2.5 feet roughly, not quite 2.5
Right.
foot, 2.25 feet. You know, this being a tire shop, he wants room to pull a vehicle inside.
Sure.
30 foot, we feel like is a modest building for what he's trying to do here. And this being zoned I-1, this use is less invasive than what could be there probably as an industrial use. We'd even kicked around the option of, you know, if this wasn't zoned I-1, but a less intense zone, we probably wouldn't need variances. So I don't want to speak for him. I don't want to give up square footage on his building here for
Sure.
him, but he's right here. Do you think that they'd be willing to cut off, instead of a 30-foot building, 25 or 27?
It's my garage.
Okay, so they agreed to maintain the 15-foot buffer.
And I appreciate that.
We would still be encroaching with the asphalt, but I would pull the building.
That's what I understand,
Okay.
obviously, but I'm concerned about the building and your neighbours behind you. Although they haven't commented on it, but they did come in on rezoning and discussed it, so I'm just trying to work with the neighbours a little bit.
Sure. So you're good with 27-foot, we'd be about a 27-foot building? Okay, so we'll adjust the square footage of the building, pull it back to 27-foot wide, or whatever it needs to be to achieve that 15-foot. But we understand though the asphalt portion will still encroach into that, okay.
And you don't think that'll impact the drainage? I mean, obviously we're shrinking up, so the drainage won't be impacted?
No, sir.
No.
No, the 2-foot would be negligible on the drainage.
Will he still have plenty of room in there to work if it's just 25 foot deep?
Well, we'll probably go to 26.5, and he can get a vehicle in. It might not have the room that he would like on each side of it, but he can get one in.
I have one question. The elevations, are you using CMU or using split face?
The picture going around is a split face, but they would like to do the CMUs, but paint it plain face.
I think the picture, that one illustrates a mixture of both, but we're gonna go with the plain face and painted a neutral color. We're considering gray, white, or blue.
I know we're drifting off a little bit, but the drainage on the slope of the roof, is there a drainage pipe that runs, where's the water running from when it slopes
Yes.
backwards?
Yes,
So
sir, I
wanna
understand.
Make sure it's not running into other people's property.
Yes, sir, I understand what you're saying. The grading plan has a swell back there that will go from the northernmost portion of the property line all the way to the retention area. So, no, it can't get over to the neighbor. And that's a swell that doesn't currently exist,
Yeah.
but will be put in there.
Any other questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion.
I'm just gonna get this worded nice and slowly, but I make a motion to accept the variance as set, excluding that the setback will be 15 feet on the back face of the building.
Sure.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the petition.
Who gave the second?
We'll take a vote by name. Mr. Goodwin?
Aye.
Ms. Pollock?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Approved as stated.
Thank you.
There being no other business to take care of this evening, this meeting is now adjourned.